The following is a Sunday feast lecture on Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 1, text number 28, given by His Grace Sriman Sankarshan Das Adhikari, recorded on July 12th, 2009, in Vancouver, Canada.
So today we are speaking from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 1, text number 28. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna uvāca dṛṣṭvemaṁ sva-janaṁ krishna yuyutsuṁ samupasthitam sīdanti gātrāṇi mukhaṁ pariśuṣyati. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Purport. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods. Whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them, who had so decided to fight amongst themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but due to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, Yashyati bhaktir bhagavad kinchana sarvairaganaistattra samasate shara haravava bhakta shukto mahanguna manorate nastati dhavato bahi. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 18, text number 12. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatam Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Zavadudam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. So, what is the difficulty? The difficulty is we spend most of our energy trying to develop material qualities. That's the problem. Become an expert accountant, an expert computer programmer, etc., etc., etc. We have our priorities backwards. Even though we know we want to become Krishna conscious, how much of our energy we actually put into it? You see? That's the problem. Just like I was explaining this morning, that lady who got the bird cage, you see. She got a little bird also, but she was polishing the cage and neglecting the bird, and that poor little bird dropped dead and died on the bottom of the cage, you see. So, if we spend most of our energy on developing material qualities, where will we be at the time of death? We have to honestly assess this situation. The time of death, where will we be? Wherever you put your heart the most during your life, that's where it will gravitate at the time of death. Of course, both sides are there. Vidyam cha vidyam yashta vedo bhayam saha. Both sides are there. You must cultivate nescience and vidya, both, to enjoy the full blessings of immortality. But how much preference, how much stress will we give to vidya and how much to avidya, you see? The problem is we're too heavily leaning towards the avidya side. That's the problem. That's the big problem we have right now. So, we're out of balance. That's the problem. So, how do we get back in balance? That requires training, you see. That's why the Vedic conjunction is tad-viganartam sagurumeva bhigatsyat. The spiritual master, just like someone going out for the Olympics, they hire a trainer to help them do the necessary disciplines to qualify for the Olympics. Similarly, a person who wants to qualify himself for liberation from the cycle of birth and death, they take a trainer to help them. That's called guru. The spiritual master guides one how to balance one's priorities properly. You see? It's not that the material side is neglected, but it has to be put in the proper perspective. You understand? It must be put in the proper perspective. The difficulty is we're totally absorbed in the material side of a little bit of spirituality, That's the problem. We should be properly trained so that at every minute we're connecting ourselves with Krishna in transcendental meditation. That's the actual position. And the other activities are dovetailed with Krishna. Is that this microphone? Switch the microphones. Bring the other microphone. So, we need to make that transition now. We have to make that transition. Very important thing. While we have a chance. See, the time of death, it'll be too late. Some people say, yes, I know the chanting is what I need to do, but I'm too busy doing other things now, so I'll save the chanting for the time of death. I'll make sure to say Hare Krishna when I leave my body. I'll make really sure, put a note in my daytimer, When at the time of death, chant Hare Krishna. So what happens if your daytimer is not there and you forget, what was I supposed to do at the time of death? You see? So the point is, whatever we cultivate now, whatever we prioritize now is the most important aspect of our life. That's where our consciousness is going to go at the time of death. It'll naturally go there. So just look at it like this. Just imagine that you got your death notice. In 5 minutes you're going to leave your body. You see, that would be very good. We don't usually get that kind of a warning. Sometimes it's there. The point is this. If we were going to leave our body in 5 minutes, we would be really focusing. Krishna, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. We'd be really focused. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. 5 minutes. You see, we get our japa beads and we'd really be getting into it. 5 minutes, I'm going to leave my body. So the point is, we need to train ourselves because death may come all of a sudden without warning also. We may not have that warning. We should always be in that intense Krishna consciousness. And at the same time, we have to execute our normal, ordinary duties, working, going to school, maintaining a family, etc. So how do you do that? How do you keep that intensity while you do your normal activities? Driving to work, standing in line at the grocery store. How do you keep that intensity? That's called the science of Bhakti Yoga. You see. In other yoga systems, you can't mix it in your ordinary worldly duties. If you want to be a yogi, the Ashtanga yogi, you have to go to the Himalayas and live in a cave. And you can't bring your mobile phone, you can't bring your laptop, you can't even bring nail clippers. You have to just totally focus on that and nothing but that 24 hours a day. Of course, who can do such a thing now? It's not practical for anyone, practically anyone. So, the Bhakti Yoga system is so wonderful, it's so powerful. Arjuna is the ideal Bhakti Yogi, you see. He's on the battlefield. Can you imagine trying to meditate in the middle of a battle? With all the arrows this way and the brahmastras and all these mystic weapons going this way and that way. You're in the middle of the whole thing with millions of warriors trying to meditate, trying to chant your rounds peacefully, Hare Krishna. You see, it'd be very difficult, you see. But yet Arjuna was in a state of transcendental meditation in the middle of all this amazing heavy stuff going on all around him. He was totally absorbed in the highest level of meditation. You see. So this is what we have to learn how to do. Whether you're a businessman, a professional man, a housewife, a student, whatever you may, Prime Minister. Is the Prime Minister here today? That'd be nice. Whatever your position is in the society, one has to learn how to dovetail one's actions with Krishna. Therefore, Krishna explains in chapter 9, text number 27, Yad karoshi yadasnasi yajjahosi dadasiya yat tapasyashi kaunteya tat kadushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, as well as whatever austerity you may perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as what? An offering unto me. You see. So are we doing that at every minute? Let's be honest. Is every thought that I'm thinking, am I offering it to Krishna? Is every word coming out of my mouth an offering to Krishna? Is every action I perform with my body an offering to Krishna? If it's not, we're out of balance. We're out of balance. You see? So we require the association of Guru and advanced devotees to help us get balanced, to learn how to dovetail everything with Krishna. As Arjuna perfectly did on that battlefield. Perfectly, he was in a state of the highest level of transcendental meditation throughout the entire battle. After he did what? Surrendered to Krishna. You see, that's the key. You have to surrender to Krishna. What does that mean? That means, Krishna, now I am yours. Engage me in any way you like. I give up all my attachments to acting for my own pleasure and satisfaction. I'm simply willing to do whatever you tell me to do from now on for all of eternity. That is surrender. That is surrender. I give up my own agenda and I plug into your agenda. You see, that is surrender. So once you do that, then you can function in any way in this world. You can do anything and be in a state of spiritual enlightenment. You can be a married man producing children, raising kids. You can be a businessman starting a business, expanding a business all over the planet. You can do anything. You can be a monk living in a Hare Krishna temple. You can do anything. Doesn't matter anything. You can do anything. Because once you come to that state of being fully surrendered to Krishna, then you're on the liberated platform. You're liberated. You're no longer under the influence of the material modes of nature. Those modes of nature, it's a rough ride. It's a rough ride, the modes of nature. Sattva-gun, Rajagun, Tamagun. It's like taking a boat over a turbulent ocean, very, very choppy waters. It's a stormy hurricane condition, the modes of material nature. So, under the guidance of Guru and advanced devotees, under the guidance of the scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita, we need to learn how to become transcendental to these modes of nature by taking shelter of Krishna. This material existence is compared to a vast, insurmountable, uncrossable ocean. Very difficult to surmount. Very, very difficult. But if we take shelter of Krishna, then we're on the safe side. It's very nicely described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Perhaps some of you know this verse. Samashataye palapallava plavam mahatpadam punyajasho marare bhavam vadir vatsa param param padam 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 yadvipadam tesham. That for one who has taken shelter of the boat, of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who is famous as being the killer of the demon named Mura, and who is the shelter of the entire cosmic manifestation. This vast, insurmountable ocean, which is even bigger than the Pacific, much bigger than the Pacific, this vast, insurmountable ocean of material existence becomes reduced down to the amount of water contained in what? Dṛṣṭvemaṁ, the hoofprint of a calf. Such a person who takes shelter of that boat, his destination is Parampadam, the Vaikuntha realm, that spiritual existence where there's no anxieties. That's where he's heading. You see? Not that place where there's danger at every single step. So as soon as one takes shelter of Krishna, then actually you've already attained the goal. Why is that? Because when that ocean which separates you from the spiritual existence becomes reduced down to dṛṣṭvemaṁ, the amount of water in the hoofprint of a calf, you're already there because you're on the boat. Krishna's lotus foot is much bigger than the hoofprint of a calf. So once you're in the boat of Krishna's lotus feet, then you've already achieved the destination. So you don't really have to even die to attain the spiritual sky. You don't have to wait for death. If you fully surrender to Krishna right now, then you're already living in the spiritual sky. Already living there. You're as good as liberated. You're still here, but your consciousness is completely 100% connected with Krishna. So there's no anxieties for you. Even if the greatest calamities come, they will not disturb you in the slightest. In fact, you will be engladdened even by the most severe calamities which befall you, because they give you more and more impetus to take even more intense shelter, to more intensely take shelter of Krishna. So for one who is fully surrendered to Krishna, there's no such thing as a reverse condition. There's no such thing as a calamity, because everything is impetus to become more and more deeply, deeply, deeply absorbed in Krishna consciousness. You see? For such a person, the word anxiety does not exist in his dictionary. It got scratched out of the dictionary, deleted. No anxiety. You see? So that is within the reach of each and every one of us. If we want to achieve that consciousness, that is within the reach of each and every one of us. If we're willing to surrender to Krishna. Not what I want to do, but what does God want me to do. Even Christ teaches the same principle. Christ is also a Krishna Bhakta. He says in the Bible, "Father, not my will, but thy will be done." That is exactly the same principle that Krishna is teaching. Give up your own independent agenda. Simply do what I want you to do. Jesus is begging Krishna. You see. Krishna is God the Father, Jesus is God the Son. He's showing how to be a perfect devotee by praying to God the Father, Krishna, not what I want, but what you want. He didn't reveal the name Krishna. He actually states in the Bible, "I have more to tell you, but you're not ready to hear it yet." For the little he gave them, they nailed him to a cross. So he decided to keep it a little bit low key and not give him all the information. He had gone to India, you know. Christ was in India. How do you think he learned how to walk on water? From the yogis. It's described in the Aquarian Gospel. He took the darshan of Lord Jagannath in Puri. So, there's no such thing as different religions. Actually, religion is one. Religion means to develop your love for God. Religion comes from the word religion comes from Latin. Do we have any Latin scholars here today? In Latin language, the word is religio. And religio means to relink. So religion is a process of relinking yourself with the source of your existence. That's what it is. That's religion. So you're either relinked or you're not relinked. There's no question of changing from this religion to that religion. You're either linked or you're not linked. You see, if you're a true follower of any path, you're linked. And if you're a cheating member of any path, you're not linked. So the real thing is to become linked with God through loving service. Some gurus teach, well, you link with God by becoming God. But I ask you, is that reasonable? That they teach you're actually God, but you have forgotten you're God. Now I ask you, is that a reasonable teaching? Is it logical that God could forget that He's God? Is that logical? That God could forget that He's God? What do you think? Is that logical, sir? No, that's right. Why is it not logical? Because that would mean that forgetfulness is more powerful than God. God is the supreme. He cannot be overpowered by forgetfulness. You understand? Therefore, the idea that you are God but you simply forgot you're God, it's absurd, it's ridiculous. So the fact is, we are not God, but we are the servants of God. We are the emanations of that Supreme Person. As Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate. He says, I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. So that means now you know who you are. If you ever want to know who you are an emanation from Krishna. He's emanating you from His body right now. That's what you are. Me too, we're all. We're all the emanations of Krishna. So why is He emanating us? Because He wants loving relationships. Why do we want to have kids in the house? You know what Chanakya Pandit says? A house without children is like a desert. So Krishna could have had an existence where He's the only one if He wanted to. But as Chanakya Pandit says, that would be like a desert. So Krishna expands from Himself an unlimited number of living entities. For what purpose? To enjoy loving rasa with each and every one of those living entities. So that's why you exist. Krishna wants to enjoy loving rasa with you. That's why you exist. So that's why if we don't love Krishna, we're cheating ourselves and we're cheating Krishna. Because the very purpose for our existence is to love Krishna. We have no other purpose for existence except to have a loving relationship with God. That's why we exist. I was teaching a class, giving a presentation in a elementary school class in Helsinki a few years ago. And I asked the children, why do you exist? And one little boy said, because my mother and father wanted to have a baby. That's true of the body, no doubt. That's why his body exists. But he doesn't understand the body is just a garment. It's not the actual self. You see? The body and the self, they are different. You see? We can understand, yes, the body exists because your parents wanted to have sex. All right. But why does the self exist? That's what we have to understand. The self exists because the Supreme Self wanted to have love unlimited. He wanted to enjoy an unlimited number of loving relationships. That's why we, the individual selves, exist. And that's why if we can relink, religio, you see, if we can become religious, if we can reconnect with that Supreme Person through loving devotional service, which is the linking process, bhakti, if we can relink with that person, that Supreme Person, then we will become totally blissful. We become full of knowledge. We become absolutely free of anxieties. We will achieve our original, eternal, spiritual form, which never gets sick, never gets old, and never dies. So that process of achieving it, we are teaching you here in this Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada has given us this science of bhakti. So we are teaching it here. You see, this is not simply some Hindu temple. Of course, it is a wonderful temple for the Hindu community, no doubt. But it's more than that. This is an educational institution to teach you the science of bhakti, how to reconnect with your actual true nature. You see? We are teaching you to understand who you are, and understanding who you are, how to actually be who you are. In the modern world, we are frustrated because we don't know who we are and we don't know how to be who we are. So many people are going through an identity crisis, you see. They don't know who they are and they're trying to be something that satisfies them, and no matter what they try, they can never be satisfied. Because they're acting on the false platform of the material body. But simply we can take a little help from Krishna. Simply take a little help from Krishna and Krishna's representatives, the spiritual master, the advanced devotees of Krishna. If we can take a little help from Krishna and his representatives, then we can come out of the ignorance of not knowing who we are. We can reawaken our eternal original identity, which is unlimitedly blissful. So this is the supreme science. This is the most valuable information you will find anywhere in the world. Even if you go to the heavenly planets, you will not find any information more valuable than what I'm telling you right now. This is the most valuable thing. I could charge you $1 million to attend this lecture, and it would not be enough to cover the worth of what I'm telling you right now. $1 million would not be enough. That's how valuable it is. Sometimes I think we should charge for the lecture. You see. So sometimes I think, well, it's free, it must not be worth anything. At least charge $1,000 per head for the lecture. What do you think? Be a great revenue for the temple. Of course, nobody may show up also. But the point is, this is the most valuable information you'll get anywhere. It's more valuable than any information you'll get anywhere in all the three worlds. So we hope you all will take this process very seriously. We hope you will sincerely try to dovetail yourself with the Supreme Self, Krishna, or God, by offering every thought, every word, and every deed in all times, places, and circumstances in His service. By doing what? By trying to make it pleasing to Him. Don't try to enjoy separately from Krishna. If you do, you're going to go through the ups and the downs. Sometimes you'll be happy, sometimes you'll be unhappy. As long as we try to enjoy separately from Krishna, we cannot always be happy. It'll be up and down, on the not so merry go round. You see? But if we will take this very, very seriously, that I have to try to please God, then we will have the greatest happiness. You may say, but I want to please myself first and then God later. Is it? But think about this. When you, does your hand need nutrition? Does your hand, of course, your hand needs nutrition. So, when you sit down to eat, do you just squeeze the food in your fingers and kind of crush it into your palm to get some nutrition out of it? No. You feed it to your belly, and then the belly then distributes it to every bodily part. So, we are like the hand, and God is like the belly. You see. If we try to enjoy separately from God, it's like the hand trying to enjoy the food separately. So don't make that mistake. Do not try to enjoy separately from God. This is a big mistake. Do not make this mistake. Try to give pleasure to the Lord. And then guess what? You will experience pleasure which is millions and billions of times greater than any pleasure you could get by trying to enjoy separately. I guarantee this. In fact, I'm so convinced that I'm giving a $10,000 guarantee. If you strictly follow these instructions that we will give you for 6 months, and you don't experience a pleasure which is inconceivably greater than any pleasure you ever got by trying to enjoy separately, I will personally give you $10,000 cash, Canadian cash. So you'll either be blissful or you'll be richer. Either way, you can't lose with my offer.